America. Let me scare you with some truth and talk about some history. And it's hard to drink when you're wearing a mask. Hey, if you got to wear a mask, make it fun. Friday the 13th, that's when the Pope and King Philip IV of France killed the Knights Templar. They were the first international bankers. They had a red shield. Red shield in German means Rothschilds. Just a Quinsky dink. And then the Knights Templar ended up becoming the Freemasons and whatnots and so forth. Maybe we'll talk about them. Hey, we got a little Zorro mask, right? You know Epstein, who didn't kill himself, owning a ranch called Zorro Ranch. Like Zoroastrian, they celebrate with big fire. Hey, let's talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think that's about some sex trafficking. Here's what I want to know about the Ninja Turtles. Why they wearing masks? Was there some other mutant turtles that weren't ninjas? Underground? Pizzagate? Weird. For the record, I am not a Democrat, and I am not a Republican. I am more like Thomas Jefferson, a Democratic Republican. It used to be one big party, and George Washington said political parties gonna tear America apart. Here we fucking are. Because they pretend like they're on opposite sides, but they get funded from the same fucking people. And you can't judge a book by its cover, because, by the way, this is not a MAGA hat. It's a Joe Biden hat, because I got blown up in Iraq. And I'm a wounded warrior. And this is not a police shirt. This is a UN World Police shirt, you know. And I don't think anybody should be patrolling anybody's backyard if they ain't from there. They just don't need to be there at all. Why were we in Afghanistan? Because war is a racket. You can find this book by General Smedley Butler, two-time Medal of Honor winner. It's online for free. It's 35 pages of awesome, and it'll tell you why we have fought every major war since the Spanish-American War. Because war is a racket. 10% for the big guy, am I right? Come on now. I guess everybody can have an art show. Maybe I should too. Operation Mockingbird is the blame stream Miss Lydia lying to you. Let's talk about fact check Operation Mockingbird. The government is not going to tell you that the government is messed up. That's just not how they work. They created and took over the news, and that's why they keep lying to you. Afghanistan's all in the news, and let's talk about that's Benny Laden. But it's like George Herbert Walker, Poppy Bush used to call him, Tim Osman. Now, fact check Tim Osman. I'd like someone to go ahead and do some research on that. I use DuckDuckGo, but you can use whatever. Just don't use Google, because they'll track you. But old Tim Osman, bin Laden, got hired by the deep state in 1979 because the Soviets were going to invade. When the Soviets invaded America, and Poppy Bush, Poppy, see the connection? And he's in one of them secret societies, but that's just probably a kinky dink, isn't it? I don't think so. Anywho, while the Soviets were in Afghanistan from 1980 to 1989, Poppy Bush gave bin Laden, Tim Osman, billions of dollars worth of weapons to fight the Soviets. Fact check it. And then in 2001, the Taliban was going to get rid of the poppies, and Poppy Bush's son said, y'all need some freedom. And just an interesting coincidence, after 1991, when the Soviet Union collapsed, we needed a new enemy to fund our war industry, and, well, he became it. Well, that's pretty damn interesting now, isn't it? Let's talk about some other current events and whatnots and so forth. This is the symbol of Saturn. See my little Saturn there? And this is the symbol of communism. Saturn is the Roman god of wealth and agriculture. Well, that's just Interesting. In Greek, he was Cronus, of Cronus Saturn, same guy. Castrated his dad with the sickle and was a god of sacrifice, a Greco Roman god of sacrifice. And when there was no longer allowed to kill Roman children for sacrifice, they sacrificed the Christians, like all the communists do. And I'm sure that's just a coincidence, right? Why I got the Superman there? Well, Stalin was the Man of Steel before Superman. Stalin made it illegal to be anti-Semite, I guess you'd call it, but he killed all the Christians in a big, giant sacrifice. Huh. Like Planned Parenthood. Well, isn't that just coincidence? Planned Parenthood, what they like to do for live birth abortions, because you can call that a sack of cells that Planned Parenthood can sell, but that's going to get you one-way ticket to hell. Because that's a baby. That's a baby. I don't care what you call that's a baby. And what they like to do is wait till they're old, live birth abortion, torture the shit out of it, and then harvest the adrenochrome. Adrenochrome full of more biochrome based upon the melanin in your skin, so the darker the berry, sweeter the juice for the adrenochrome. They harvest that adrenochrome and they take it like a drug. Well, that's pretty sickening. And again, do your own research. Kind of weird. EpiPens became mandatory in school. When they oxidize, they become adrenochrome. Weird. We are in the middle of a pandemic. Pan, the horned goat god, right? And all the sheep follow him. So he's talking about fucking and such. And yeah, pretty evil. Just a coincidence. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And I was talking a little bit about Cronus and Saturn. Cronus. Cronus means a crown, like a corona. Like a corona. Huh. Bats are mammals, and you can get a disease from mammal to mammal transfer. Bats have a high metabolism because they can fly and shit, and that's why they use them to weaponize normal diseases. Because they want to control your lives. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. I'm not done yet. Let's talk just a little bit about some experiments, because everybody's like, the Nuremberg, whatever. And it's like, hey, you know what? From 1949 to 1969, America tested germ warfare on American citizens. Operation Sea Spray. Go ahead and research it. Do it. Hey, go like this. Pause the video. Operation Sea Spray, and then come right back. Let's talk real quick about Cuba, because there's in the news as well. Cuba, that was started under a false flag. That's when the military plans an operation and then they blame it on another country, and then we get to go give them some freedom. In 1898, President McKinley really wanted Cuba, so the USS Maine didn't sink itself. Teddy Roosevelt got on his horse and said, "Giddy up, buttercups." The Rough Riders were born, and that's how we got Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines, and Guam, and Samoa. Well, that's just interesting. There's been all kinds of different operations. You know, if you really want to look into some stuff, Operation Northwoods is a deep, deep rabbit hole. Operation Dirty Trick, the Nazi NASA scientists were going to blame anything that went wrong on an astronaut mission with Johnny Glenn on Fidel Castro. And do you really believe Fidel Castro and 60 lame-ass liberal arts students invaded Cuba and took over an army without a little bit of help? Because I don't. Well, let's talk about Zorro. He was like the West Coast Batman now, wasn't he? And Epstein owned Zorro Ranch. He did. And the architecture on Epstein Island looked like it was Zoroastrian. And it's one of them secret societies that celebrates with fire, like Bohemian Grove and 9/11. Zarathustra wrote 17 Gothas. Gotham City satirized New York, means goat town, And when Gotham City was hit, the Twin Towers on 9/11, George Bush was reading My Pet Goat. Probably just coincidence, right? The founder of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, when he got exiled, went to Gotham. That's just weird. Probably all just a coincidence. Everybody knows everything there is to know about China. Well, the George Poppy Bush ambassador to China before we had one, bicycle ambassador, researched it in the 70s. And he set up the meeting between Mao. Mao was installed by Yale, the Bush family went to, in 1920. So who made China number one? Oh, it was Yale and the Bush family. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Next slide. And a lot of rhino conservatives sold out America for profit. Like old Cocaine Mitch there. Don Jr., hit me up. This one's on you, bro. Send me a bottle of Trump wine or two. Because the people at the tippity top of the pyramid, and them pyramid people, like Moses, let my people go and such, and people don't ever want you even close to the top. They don't even like people to get to the middle. That's why they want communism, where we're all down here. And then they like to sacrifice the Christians. And people always like to talk about, well, shots are good because we wouldn't have polio. It used to be an epidemic. Well, in 1940, they thought polio came from ice cream because it only happened in the summer. You know what else happened in the summer? They sprayed crops with DDT. And then they sprayed kids with DDT so they wouldn't get polio. And if you got polio, or DDT poisoning, the symptoms look just like fucking polio. And then the vaccine just cured everything magically because they quit using DDT. Huh. Well, isn't that interesting? I'll sum this up and do your own research, man. Maybe I'm full of shit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right about one or two things, but I am right about this. I'm not right about it. Smedley Butler was. War is a racket. Prescott Bush tried to hire Smedley Butler to overthrow the government in the 1933, I think it was. The business plot. But they never told you about that, now did they? Keep hearing about climate change and whatnots. If carbon dioxide is killing the planet, and carbon dioxide's bad, why are we wearing masks? Because it makes us breathe in bad carbon dioxide, because it can't be good and bad. Maybe the carbon they want to get rid of is you.